Welcome to Marcor Studios, where here we will be interviewing different industry professionals and educating our homeowners as well as the industry as a whole. We hope you enjoy the show. And then interest rates.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Ready?
Yep.
Welcome to Marcor Studios. I'm here today with my good friend and colleague, Eric Clemente. Eric, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us who you're with, what you do.
So I'm the president of NSE Windows. We're an exclusive Marvin dealer. We do Marvin windows and doors,
And you do some beautiful, beautiful high-end homes.
We do. We're very fortunate to have 3 locations here in Long Island, in the Hamptons, Massapequa, and Watermill. Hauppauge. And then, of course, we have our Florida location in Jupiter.
Must be nice to be able to go visit that one once in
I
a while.
don't get to do it. My partner Joe does, but that's his baby. That's his focus. But
Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful projects. We're very fortunate.
So let's stick to Long Island, though. Let's talk about Long Islanders today.
Yeah, Long Islanders. I don't think even when you leave Long Island, it ever leaves you, right?
No.
You're just always Long Island.
Yeah. I think when you come to Long Island from not being from Long Island, you don't become a Long Islander necessarily.
Right.
Because it's like a born and bred thing, what we're about to talk about.
Absolutely. But I think that there's a level of pride that, I have of being a Long Islander with my family and the way we're intertwined into the community just as yours. That makes what we do, my team, my company, we take it to a higher level. It makes it really extra special. Because it's a small neighborhood.
It is. As big as Long Island is, it's like so many times I talk to somebody in business and I'm like, oh wait, you know this person. Like last night even I had company over and one of the girls saw a video that I was on with Long Island Builders Institute with another girl, and she's like, how do you know that blonde? And she's like, I was out partying with her in Greenport or whatever, like just
Right.
small world.
I think it makes it harder to kind of look at people the same way when you really love where you live and where you work and the people you know because of the way some people conduct and do business.
Elaborate.
You feel that? You feel that?
I know exactly what you're saying, but elaborate.
I think I see some people in the industry, some companies, some leadership that I think that they are profits over people. And
100%.
I think that kind of hurts. I'm a father. I'm a family guy. I think that to know or believe that there could be a transaction done with someone in my family in an underhanded way, I think it hurts. It bothers me a little bit.
It should.
Yeah.
It bothers me as a business owner all the time when I see people and I'm like, you paid what for windows?
Right.
I had a friend of ours that we just did a door for. And I said, I'm like, go to Windorama, go wherever you go pick out the door you want, get it delivered. I'll install it for you. He got a price from renewal for a door for almost $25,000.
It's crazy.
One sliding door.
It's crazy.
How does anyone fathom that?
Forget how they fathom it. How do you pump gas? How do you show yourself in public and look at people straight in the face and do that and know it's just not right?
No, it's not. But here's the problem. The majority of the companies doing it are the companies being taken over by private equity. Mm-hmm. There are companies that I'm fucking dying right now. We're going to have to redo that one. Jesus. I don't know what the hell's going on with me right now. I literally feel fine.
Well, there's no allergies to me. I'm not a cat guy.
I have allergies.
No
right
cats,
now.
no dogs.
All right, we'll restart. All right, so go back to how you pump gas.
You're saying most of the companies that do this, private equity.
They're either bought out by private equity, so they're people who are not from Long Island.
Right.
They're people that are national companies that are trying to get into here. they're the ones hiring the inferior labor, people with labor law exclusions, charging ridiculous numbers, and not giving the right job
Right.
and paying out massive commissions. So it's now spoiling the sales reps. Like, what are you going to do?
Right. Yeah, it's wherever they're from or whatever they choose to do. I think ultimately, I think that there needs to be some type of oversight in
A little more regulations, maybe?
yeah, maybe more regulation
Enforcement?
yeah, and at least disclosing to people what they're signing up for, making sure it's explicitly clear. So if someone's doing financing, I mean, financing in the home is a really big thing right now. A lot of companies are pushing on a one-call close. Homeowners should be aware of that. You should never buy on a one-call close. It should be explicitly clear. This is what you're paying in interest. This is how much the total interest is over time. Here's how much your job cost. If there is a fee for, if there's a fee for the company to offer that financing, that needs to be discussed or discused.
I mean, listen, we get the Chinese menu of what loans we can offer, right,
Absolutely.
as a company. And we always keep ourselves in that low single digit number. If we're going to offer something like an 18-month interest free, that doesn't cost us a fortune, or not when you're going to 60 months interest free, that the homeowner's paying 30% extra that they don't even know.
Right. Look, at the end of the day, those companies are looking for those consumers. They advertise it. We know one company on Long Island who at one time was quite large. They got purchased by private equity. We don't really see them anymore, but they were advertising 60 months, 0% interest. We know that the dealer fee on that was like 25%, right?
Yeah, I think actually
That's
almost
a
28.
huge hit, right?
Yeah.
But whether consumers were buying that or not, I don't know. You don't know. We could speculate. It doesn't even matter. They used it as a way to get into homes, and those are the consumers that I would particularly say aren't even the ones we're looking for, because they're people purchasing on price. They're not purchasing on value, and we just find that to be maybe a little bit of a challenging obstacle to overcome.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can speak for my company. We're extremely well priced. We're extremely aggressive. A lot of people hear our brand, they think it's more, but we are probably mid lower range priced.
Really?
Absolutely. We give a very, very fair. First off, we give a very fair price. Our overhead is extremely lean, right? So we run lean, we run mean. Our marketing cost is extremely low.
So you operate like we do.
Right. So
Which is why when people come and they're like, "You're too expensive," I'm like, "Compared to what?" Because
Absolutely.
there's something that's inferior if you're saying that these numbers are coming in too high. We see a lot of this predatory lending and the predatory sales tactics in the solar industry as well. And you and I have had countless conversations about
Absolutely.
this, but now we're seeing it even more. So we're seeing the solar companies who stood on ceremony saying, "I'm never offering a lease," now offering leasing.
Right.
And sales reps that won't come aboard here because I won't offer leasing. And I'm standing on ceremony saying, I won't offer leasing.
Right.
Why? Because it's not beneficial to the homeowner. And they used to say, "Oh, well, it was beneficial if the homeowner didn't have a tax appetite." Okay, well, now there's no tax credit. So either figure out how the numbers can make sense, because we figured out how the numbers on a purchase can make sense.
Right.
The reason why they're pivoting to leasing and saying, "Oh, well, it's a better value there." They're selling it because they're making more money. The money that you can make in leasing, I could make way more money offering leasing. I refuse to offer it because at the end of the day, I don't feel it's the best suited for my customer.
Right.
And coming from the person who's managing 13 MSAs for leasing companies and for banks that all went out of business,
Right.
and that all got repurposed elsewhere.
Right.
And we're dealing with very angry customers that we're having to turn around,
Right.
which I'm happy to do. But people who are like, "What did I sign up for?
Right.
How come I didn't know this?"
Right.
DocuSigns 50 pages deep that you don't even know what you're signing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's It's sad. It's sad. Look, all you could do, I mean, what we focus on is educating consumers. We focus on trying to reach the right consumers, people who are looking for, we want people who look for the best price, but we don't want people who are looking for the cheapest price.
Listen, we all know that little trifecta of like that three ring diagram where it's, good, cheap, fast. You can't get all three.
Right.
You can get close to all three with some of the right companies, but it's also having the transparency for these companies that are just sales organizations.
Right.
Homeowners should know that. Homeowners should know if you are just an organization that's selling and subcontracting 100% of the job, how do you know who you're getting?
Right.
Are you getting the A team? Are you getting the C team?
Yeah.
And are they looking for the cheapest price? Yeah. It's just like in solar. The solar bros were looking for the cheapest red line you can find, and the company that was saying you don't need to redo that roof. And guess what? Now it's costing customers $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in some cases, depending on the size of the system, to remove that system, replace the roof, reinstall it. Where'd your tax savings go? Where'd your solar savings go?
Yeah, but are they? Look, sometimes consumers are misunderstood. Sometimes they don't realize that they're looking for the cheapest cost, but they assume it's the cheapest price, right? It's two very different things.
Oh, so you got a good salesperson in there.
So, but what the prerequisite to that is being afforded the opportunity to meet with the consumer. And that's where a lot of other companies out there, you get their postcards every day, you see their commercials every day, they're knocking on your door and so on and so forth. It's essentially a race to get asses in houses.
Yep.
Right? So it's a race to get asses in houses. That is a very expensive proposition. They pass that cost on to the consumer. They do an inferior job. And it's not necessarily because they're using subs. I don't believe that. I think it's because of the methodology that they use to do the work that they do, right? And because of that, the consumer doesn't necessarily know because they're forced into a high pressure sales tactic. They feel like they're getting a value because of the way it's sold. I mean, like all things in life, sales and good sales essentially is psychology. And whether you're doing a 5-step, 7-step, 10-step, 12-step sales process, at the end of the day, they really all follow the same thing, right? Now that you see what we do and how we do it, can't you see why we're more? Whatever it is, whatever that person's pushing. But at the end of the day, they close the door, they do their tie downs, whatever you want to call it, to get to that same spot where the consumer feels like they're forced to make a decision or lose value, right? So I think the word to the consumer is if you are in a position where someone comes to your home, they're not disclosing what the amount of the job is, they're offering you simply a payment, right? They're only showing you one product in the home. There's no showroom or anywhere to go see it. And you're not afforded the ability to go to their jobs on site and actually talk to live people and see what their work is like, then you shouldn't buy.
Yep.
Right? And that sales process of purchasing in the home and all of that is designed to avoid that.
Now, listen, I also see like the side, all right, as a salesperson, because you and I both sold at one point in our career, and I still do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your job is still to ask for the sale, but there's an approach to doing it where you're doing it from an honest perspective, and you're saying, listen, my sales reps, their job is to ask for the sale at the end of the sit, and if they there are times where they're going to sit and they're going to close it, but they're not closing it because they're pressure selling it. They're not doing it because yes, we might have a promotion for the month. And that is a legitimate, like, hey, listen, you have until the end of the month. Those are normal promotions.
Absolutely.
But the price drop, the sign today and save here is, those days are over. Those should not even be something that exists.
No, they shouldn't. And look, those promotions, they exist. The manufacturers will pass that down. And that's something you can totally, take advantage of. But like, the way at NSE we see it is we just offer people the opportunity to get the information they need to make a decision.
And an educated one.
And right. And when they're comfortable, they come to us and they say, hey, Johnny, Eric, whomever, how do we get started? What's our next steps? For us, that's our process. It's very easy. We're comfortable enough to just give people information. let them see what we do, make sure that they understand all the variables. Hey, this is a good product, but if you buy it, you may experience this, this, and this. This is a good company. However, you should look into service or warranty follow-up, right? Or these are some of the challenges that I've seen with that. This is how this may perform. This is how we could value engineer this and make it work best for you without sacrificing quality or standards or aesthetics,
Yep.
right? So if we give people that information, they're typically coming to us and saying, "What's the next steps?" And it's really easy and they're comfortable. I mean, we're fortunate enough, we do very, very large scale projects. So our projects could be anywhere from, a typical very small project, couple units of windows, to your standard Long Island house. Maybe it could be 20,000, 30,000, or 40,000. But many of our projects are $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, right? And look, while obviously those are going into some significant homes, we always say we've never met a person with a blank check. Everybody has some type of budget that they're
100%.
looking to stick in. And the windows that we're doing, they're a huge feature in the home, right? It's not a commodity.
Yep.
It's important to the consumer. It's important to the design. The architect has his name on there, right? There's a lot of importance. The designers got their name on there. The consumer has their name on that. Like, oh, you would do that? It's your home, right? So there's a lot on the line here. So when someone does write that check and now they're waiting 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it may be, they're in a position to have nightmares. Did I make the right decision? Was that the right product? Right? We don't want anybody to have that.
Yeah.
We don't want anybody to have second thoughts.
Or
We
the
want them
buyer's
to sleep-
remorse.
Yeah. We want them to sleep well. That's what we focus on. That's how we do it. But for the average consumer out there, we do get pretty concerned about how they're treated. And, in a way, we almost thank those companies. We thank them because when we are doing, a project where we're supplying and installing, like, if we come in after them, I mean, it's almost easier because the consumer's
To
like,
lay down.
thank God,
Yeah.
right? It really is. It's
It's
really,
like when we go in behind certain companies because we go with that honest approach. It's quality over anything. It's consumer first. But if you think about reviews, right? Let's talk about online
Reviews,
reviews for a second. Think about all the companies that are out there that have 5-star reviews and they have 150 or 200 5-star reviews.
Right.
What does that mean, right? Does that mean that they kept all those people? We're in construction. We've been doing this both a long time.
Right.
Have you kept every customer home, every single homeowner you've dealt with happy?
Look, some people you don't want to be happy.
You have sometimes we call them the beaters. Some people, they don't want to be happy or they're looking to just beat the company. They're gonna find something wrong, and anyone who tells me that they don't have that, you're gonna get that customer, especially when you're doing volume.
100%.
It's a matter of how you deal with that customer. And I tell my homeowners all the time, it's a construction project. It's not what's gonna go. It's not if something's gonna go wrong. Something's gonna go wrong. It's gonna
When?
be how we react to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to know how somebody's gonna react to the situation.
Yeah.
What happens though is that I have heard everything from solar companies buying, no exaggeration, a solar company, the owner bought a homeowner a new sectional for their house in lieu of taking down the negative review. Okay? You got companies like Power Home Remodeling that people physically take their stuff and throw it out the door because they've been on an 8-hour sit. I know because I have guys that work for me that did that. And they
Right.
said, I've physically been thrown out of houses because they make me pressure sell. And they came here because they know I don't make them pressure sell here.
Right.
Yes, we want the sale. I want the customer to want to work with us as much as I want to work with them.
Right.
There's also customers we don't want to work with.
Right.
You know, not every customer is a good customer.
No, not all. Look, I like to believe that I could be a pessimist, so I like to try to believe.
That's why we get along, because
right.
I'm the optimist.
I like to try to believe that most people are good, but look, all we could do is educate consumers, right? So here's some basic metrics that consumers should be aware of that these companies track. Right.
Go.
Number one, financing. All of companies that are selling in the home are looking for a minimum of 80% finance. So they want majority of their jobs to be financed.
Now let's educate why.
Why? Well, of course, because then it eliminates the obstacle for the big sticker shock that someone has, right? There's also incentives that may be offered by the finance companies. Number two, rescission
I
rates.
love it. If I knew where those incentives were, because we don't get them.
Yeah, exactly. Rescission rate. So there is a goal for a minimum of 10% rescission. Meaning cancellations.
Correct.
So companies that are selling in homes are looking for their salespeople to have, out of 100 sales, a minimum of 10 of those sales absolutely canceled. And the reason being is because they do not believe, sales management, doesn't believe that the salesperson is pushing hard enough for the sale if they're not getting people have buyer's remorse. So
they're built to want that cancellation rate. When you're running an operation like what you and I run, I want my cancellation rate less than 1%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which we have probably less than 0.01%.
Correct. And it's an absolute metric that is looked at.
Yeah.
The next metric is closing rate, the closing rate that they're looking on their salesperson. And the reason being is because that salesperson needs to hit a specific metric, whether it be 30%, 35%, whatever that company sets. And the salesperson is only incentivized essentially by commissions. So they won't get the best leads, they won't get the best schedule if they don't hit those. But then they also won't get the ability to work with that customer anymore. Meaning that if they invested an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours,
it's getting rehashed by somebody else.
Correct. And then what happens, it goes back to the office, and the consumer gets to work with a rehash department where they'll, by the way, alert, you'll save a bunch of money because you'll get the same product, highly discounted. Essentially, they're going to come to you and beg you for your business. You'll still be overpaying, but it'll be significantly less than what that person was offering you in the home.
Yep. And that's where, like, we're not a price seller what we do. We, like I said, we ask for the sale for sure. That's our job.
Right.
But we're not asking for the sale on something that is overpriced. We're not asking for a sale that we have 30% dealer fees built into our job.
Right.
We're not asking for a sale. At the end of the day, the goal is a fair price, a quality project, in a timely manner.
Right. Yeah. Well, for us, the consumer dictates the price, right? So, I mean, the spread we see on, I'll call it plastic windows or vinyl windows, and what we do is like so small, right? That spread has gotten incredibly small. So the customer can choose to be anywhere in the spectrum that they choose. And the products, what's awesome about what we do at Marvin, is the warranty is the same for all the products. See, what's really unique is if you go to the Marvin website, you look up the warranty, it's one document that suits all the products.
That's
it's
amazing.
Not like, oh, well, you get this, you get the essential, it's this warranty, you get that. So only difference between the products is design and then the options. So if you need the most amount of options, it's going to push you into
A
the
higher
higher
price
product
point.
range.
Yep.
Same thing when you would go to, let's say, wherever, Mercedes, or if you're going with the smaller car, base model, you're going to have less options than when you go with the larger one, right? So the consumer really dictates how that is. And if they like the product, they trust us, they're comfortable with us, they like the work that we do, which is really important to us, then we bring them into the showroom. We essentially require people to come to the showroom because we want them to choose what they want. I can't give people a price if they don't know what they want.
Correct.
Nevertheless, if I give them a price and they don't see it, then the price is irrelevant, right? So you can't have value on something that you didn't see. And if the price is cheap but you don't like it, what does it matter?
Yeah.
And if the price was cheaper than what you're willing to pay, and you could get something more that you would really love more so, or that would maybe fit your design aesthetics or goals more so, then we'll give you the price on that. So consumers should know that when they go into when they're dealing with the contract, they're afforded that, but really they dictate the price, not that the contractor's dictating the price.
Yeah.
Because it's all preset. It's just in a tablet. X amount of windows because it's one product and it doesn't matter.
Yep.
We're just going to install it this way. I mean, it kind of leads into where you start going into code, how people are installing projects.
Oh gosh.
That's
I think we
a
can have a
whole
2-hour
element.
conversation
Yeah.
about that one.
I when did not following code become okay?
When it wasn't enforced.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times I go on large bids? I'm dealing with one right now, and it got narrowed down to us and one other contractor. And the other contractor, I'm like, he should be debunked immediately. He didn't even talk about how he's fastening underlayments. It's a code. How are the underlayments being fastened? You have to use a cap fastener. Doesn't matter what the manufacturer says. What does our code say? Our code supersedes everything.
Right.
Why is nobody doing it? The same reason why did licenses become a thing that people can just disregard? How come people can carry inadequate insurance? Because nobody's checking. They think a certificate of insurance is going to cover them, not realizing that behind that policy, you could have in your homeowner's policy, or maybe as a general contractor, you can have it in your policy that you don't even know until something's too late to say, if that subcontractor has subpar insurance, or if that subcontractor doesn't have a license, that there's no coverage there.
Right.
But nobody's going to see that on a certificate of
Right.
insurance.
Right. Yeah.
Huge issues.
What I mean, when that became okay, I guess when
I'll tell you exactly when it became okay. Want to know why? Because the amount of money people are saving by going with truck off the truck and the unlicensed or improperly insured guy, yes, they're risking so much and they don't realize what they're risking until, God forbid, something happens. But I think when it happened was, if I gave you a price and you can save $5,000 by going with some guy that works out of his living room, are you going to roll the dice for $5,000 in savings? Some people might. And if they do, because they say, hey, if something happens, then shame on me and I'll deal with it and fix it then. But they don't realize you're going to do it and you're going to pay for it again, and you're going to pay double next time.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a lot more involved.
Yeah. Well, look, playing devil's advocate, the big challenge is people don't know what they don't know.
Fact.
Right? So, what has been the cost for a consumer to hire an unlicensed contractor without guys tied off on the roof that falls off and gets injured?
You want to know what the price is? Not anything you or I would know, because we'd have to dig through case law and find out where they are. Now, I do have the cases, and I do know what it's cost
Right.
people, and I do know that homeowners have been brought into suit.
Right.
We do know, but Consumer Affairs isn't going to get that information. Homeowners are going to hear that information.
Right.
And guess what? By the time it happens, nobody wants to talk about it because they're so embarrassed it happened. And now they're in a crisis trying to figure out, am I responsible for this? I have to pay for an attorney.
Right.
What do I do?
Yeah, well, look, until those are talked about, I mean, look, the media spends way too much time investigating cops from 1976 and this from whenever.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, what's really really hurting consumers, hurting families, hurting Long Islanders, is them not being educated about everyday purchases and everyday things that are affecting their lives.
100%.
So until people know, again, there's really no value to it, because I don't know what the risks are, because I don't really know anybody who dealt with it. So it's all like funny money. I agree with you, and I'm all about it, and I try to explain to people, like, they're out there, like, you just haven't heard about it, you just haven't seen it, but it exists. There was a couple of years ago, there was guys, and this happens very often. Sometimes it makes the news because it's true tragedy, but they were digging that cesspool, and it collapsed. The guy fell right in. The ring fell right on top of him. I don't even know.
I mean, there was another one where the two guys fell in the hole. Was it last year or the year before? Up in Brookville or something? You don't really hear about them. And honestly, at the same time, do people still watch the news like they used to? Because I know I don't have the time to.
Yeah, look, I mean, honestly,
If it doesn't show up on my Facebook feed or an Instagram feed, I don't catch it.
Someone should definitely be putting that information out there to talk about real world experiences, to really report and let people know what the real risks are.
Yeah.
I think Johnny's doing a really good job of putting together these documents online, so
Yeah,
people
for sure.
can see and have a checklist. really what goes out with Hempstead or Oyster Bay with the calendar should be a checklist that a consumer gets to ask and make sure that they check those questions.
So the interesting thing with homeowners is that we've had these conversations several times, and John, Castro and I have had these conversations as well. And it'll never happen, but there should be some ownership on the homeowner, where they're signing an affidavit. We're required as contractors to sign a contract that has to have a start date, a completion date, a license number. It has to have, certain things broken down a certain way. We have to have an ST-124. We have to have not notice of cancellation. How come we don't have to have a homeowner sign an affidavit saying that they checked our license and insurance? Do you know how many less complaints and how many less issues there would be if the homeowner just has to say, I agree that, and should be the contractor's responsibility. I reviewed this contractor's license and insurance, and I verified they're licensed.
Right.
At the end of the day, and I understand from as a business owner, from consumer affairs' aspect of all right, well, we can't do that, and we have a lot of these conversations with National Consumer Affairs to say, how do we get that to be something that a contractor is required to have a homeowner sign so that they're required to check for the license? Because they know they should be, but are they?
Yeah.
I mean, I have accounts that I try and help them when it comes to their licensing, and it's infuriating to know that I'm doing things by the book, and they're doing things and they're hiring subcontractors out of New Jersey or that don't have to worry about the scaffold law, and they don't know. But what they don't realize is that this issue becomes very big. If the issue comes so big, and I work for ABC Solar, let's call it, let's pretend they're a giant national company, right, which we have a lot of the companies who do that. Now, a homeowner may not be responsible if they're a single or two-family dwelling, if they're not directing the work. But it's an ambiguous statement to say, are they directing the work or not? Then you flip to, in the event that something were to happen, okay, how does the insurance and the liability kick around? There was a company Level Solar here that lapsed in their workers' comp, and they didn't know. And when a guy fell off the roof in Massachusetts, they shut down their whole entire division, closed the doors, no questions asked. Everybody was sent an email. The doors were locked. It was what it was. The problem with that is that all of the people, when they close those doors, the homeowners are now affected. The contractors that are working for them are now affected. The employees are now affected. You don't know when that completely implodes and shuts down. So
right,
one bad egg ruins it for the others, but they don't realize that they're ruining it for themselves.
Right.
Because they're the big company that signed an affidavit saying, I'm not going to hire an unlicensed contractor.
Right.
So then there needs to be some more enforcement in that.
Yeah, there does, but there's got look, you got to take yourself and say, what is the driver for the consumer to want to do it? And
there is no drive. You want to know why?
There is.
They're saving money.
Right, because they're saving money based off of the people that are getting into the houses first, right? So they're hearing the nightmares about, oh, it cost me, $3,700 for a window. Like what? Right? Like, I'm not even going to bother calling those people. I'm going to look for the cheapest, right? Not everybody has discretionary income to do the things that they need to do. We have younger people out there. We have people who are really hustling and doing what they need to do to make it by. Taxes are high, children are expensive.
Just little.
Try to be a realist and say, like, what does it take? Look, if you go into somebody's home and say, hey, wow, how long have you been thinking about doing this project? Well, how long have you owned the home? I've owned the home for 10 years. How long have you been thinking about changing the windows? Since we bought it. Okay, since you purchased the house, you've been thinking about doing the windows, yeah. Why? Well, because you can't see out them, they're cold, they're drafty, whatever it is. Okay. So what's changed? Well, we finally saved enough money. Wow. Like, okay, this is serious. Like, these people invited us into their home, trusted that we could potentially do the right thing by us, and what they saved for 10 years, somebody is going to essentially take it from them.
Yeah, and they have to trust them on that too.
Right. So
wow, the way you say that, like we're like, wow, that's a real eye opener.
It's
like,
real. It's real.
It's real.
This is real stuff. I take it really seriously.
Yeah.
I try to tell everybody I'm a consumer first, right? Like that's the difference between me and these kids that will go to a home or will try to sell somebody. I'm a consumer.
Listen, at the end of the
I
day,
get
some
it.
of these guys going and selling these jobs don't even own a home. They don't
Right.
have they don't have the
Correct.
expenses. Or they'll sell their parents. And I remember when I was installing for one of the large companies, I did one of the sales reps. I did their parents' home, and I saw the contract, and I was like, "Do you know what you just did to your parents?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's insane."
Look, and some people may be ignorant to it, but bottom line is it's serious money. Now the consumer, now that person who saved for 10 years needs to make a decision, and it's tough to give away that money.
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
And
Or
It's-
they just finance it and they think they don't feel it because now it's
And-
pushing it out.
right. So they use OPM, other people's money.
Yeah, which
right? That's
which
the sales
granted
tactic.
is not a bad thing.
It's not.
But when you add up in certain cases, okay, we've got, you got 60 months interest free, but add up that monthly payment times 60 months.
Right.
What is that number?
Or it's 0% interest. I'll save the money. I'll chip it away, and then God forbid, look, it's Murphy's law, right? If it can happen, it will happen, right? And chances are, if you're in that position where it took you 10 years to save enough money to do it, and now you have that money because you're using OPM, you signed up for somebody else's money, somebody else's to use financing to get this job. There's a good chance that your car's going to break down, transmission's going to go,
Your
and now
boiler's
you're
gonna
Right, so
go.
now you use this money and you don't have the money for the lump sum,
Yep.
and now you're forced into 35% interest for whatever it happens to be,
Yep.
and you ruin your credit. That's what happens. That's the real crux of the issue with financing. But back to where consumers go, they're forced with that decision. Like, how do I not let all this money go? Because it took me 10 years to go there, and they're forced with it. They're forced with that decision, and oftentimes they're forced to look for Stu and a crew, stay in the van, truck in the truck, right?
Pete on the pickup.
Right.
Don't forget him.
Right. So they're forced because they're trying to figure out, well, how could I at least save some of this that it took me so long? It took me 120 months to save this money.
Yeah.
And how do I keep some of it? And they're under the impression, because they saw a big company that advertised was in, Clipper magazine, the newspaper, the flyers, the commercial, the social ads, all of the marketing that's in front of them.
Yep.
Low financing, buy 4 windows, get one free, free roof, roof for $8,900, free gutters, whatever it happens to
Yeah,
be.
we're not at the grocery store here.
Right. And they're forced into that, and then
Yep.
they go, oh, well, when those companies really go into the house, they find out what the real cost of doing business is, and then they're like, oh, shit. Online, Massapequa Moms. Is there somebody, good handyman or whatever, who could do this? And then they go for the cheapest guy, and then they're subjected to that.
Yep.
It's a vicious circle. It's tough. I think the best thing we could do as, I guess, business leaders is to educate consumers,
Yep.
to try to save people. I think people should really care more about people, and in doing the right thing by people. I think in the long run, it's not only going to lead you to the pearly gates. It's not only going to allow you to walk around and have a tremendous amount of integrity and pump your gas wherever you go in Long Island,
And be
no
okay
matter
with showing your face where
and
you
be
go.
okay showing your face. But truly, I believe it's also going to lower your cost, because you're a consumer too. And these insurance rates and the cost of doing business, all of that stuff, ultimately comes around.
100%.
Comes around, goes around,
100%.
right?
Which leads you back to when you start with the homeowner willing to pay the guy cash. They're the root of the initial issue, whether they know they're doing it or not. I hand you $20,000 in cash, and you go pay your crews in cash, and you dodge your insurances and your workers' comp and all the FICA and the payroll taxes, and now your employee is now dodging all of those taxes and everything they're supposed to be paying into. Do you want your taxes to go up next year?
Who doesn't?
Okay. Everybody doesn't, but at the end of the day, as a community, we can stop this.
Right.
If
right.
we stop feeding into what's happening.
But
And
it's the wrong business leaders. You know, because you know what real leaders do? Real leaders in business is they educate their employees on being financially savvy, right? So whether it's a laborer, an immigrant, whatever, hey, here's what you should be doing. Start your 401k plan. Why don't
100%.
we do this? Why don't we set up, you know, your Social Security? What you put in is what you get out. You want to be 72 years old and be getting a $1,000 Social Security check?
I mean, we could have
What
a
do- what
different
do you- what do
political
you say from
conversation
there?
if we're going to ever
You know,
see our Social Security.
Right,
but
but you know, you want to buy a house? Oh, well, you don't show enough money. You don't show enough. You make enough money. Oh, you want to buy a
Exactly.
car? You want to lease? You want to get an apartment? All of those things affect your employees, and if your employees aren't growing in their lives and what they do, then what? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing this for? You're doing it for profit. You're not doing it for people.
Nope.
Do it for the people. Do it for your employees. Do it for your.
That's what we do here.
Do it for your
Everybody,
family.
everybody gets paid first. Everybody gets taken care of first. Everybody, we focus on the team, the consumer, our customer.
Right.
Right. We focus on our vendors, our suppliers.
Yep.
We focus on our manufacturers.
Yep.
We focus on our partners. It doesn't matter what it takes. We have to roll our sleeves up and make sure that that's all done.
Right.
Go in at a fair number. You have to. You can't do it where you're running numbers and you're losing money.
Of course not.
And there's so many people. You got to realize, specifically in construction, you've got people who are really good with their hands. Okay, who said, "Hey, I don't want to go into the union. I want to do this. Let me turn it into a business." And I think it's a beautiful thing if you do it the right way.
Right.
Right. But right now, it's interesting because I'm working with Sacred Heart University. I'm alumni there, and I'm on the board of visitors there. We just started up a scholarship program there. And my scholarship, the Marzana Farisi Endowment Scholarship, is actually geared towards, I can actually kind of have preference with it. It's going to be a female going into the construction industry or into the building industry. And what I'm working on with them is actually I'm working on, they're scared of AI. They're scared that, all these universities are scared. Finance, accounting, law, AI, I mean, it's doing what's doing. Anybody who says they're not utilizing AI at some point in their day in work isn't benefiting, because I could draft up something and make it sound better and more professional in the click of a button.
Right.
But and then make my adjustments and use it for inspiration or whatever the case may be. But now we're seeing this push for, okay, you're going to have all these data centers, and now these people are being pushed into electric. They're being pushed into the trades,
Right.
which is great.
Right.
We're seeing increased, enrollment at BOCES. We're seeing people actually being pushed in these directions. Who's going to run them? You have to now teach the future business owners of America to say, okay, here's how construction management works. Here's the economics of it. Here's the finance. Here's how to run a business. Here's how to read a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet. You have guys that run companies that they work all day, then they come home and they do their estimates. And at some point they have to do billing. And they're a lot of the times a one-man operation. Sure, they can save a lot of money by doing that and cutting that overhead. But how long does that last? And when something, God forbid, happens to that person, where do you stand as their customer? You want to be able to know that there's a team behind that company. So I do believe there's a sweet spot, and Marcor is really focused on being in that and remaining in that sweet spot. I get calls for private equity all day long. Emails, I get at least 2 to 3 a week. I don't want to entertain it because I'm building this business. I'm not looking to sell it off and let somebody ruin it potentially. And
Yep.
We've seen it firsthand, ruin not one, but on its way to affect, I'm not going to say ruin, but definitely affect 2 very well-established companies at one point in the industry.
Look, you're telling the right person. I've seen it. I think the private equity thing is wild.
It is. And it's people are like,
It's
they get so fleshed by the numbers, but they don't realize that, listen, I'm a firm believer that there's a time and a place for selling your business, and that nobody here wants to just not build a business with a reputation that maybe one day they can sell. But at the same time, I mean, listen, there's reasons for people to want to get out of an industry. Maybe a partnership split up. Maybe somebody passed away. Like, you know, whatever the case may be. Eventually, some people might want out. Maybe you want to relocate. Maybe you're just, it could burn you out. I get it. But I feel that's also happening for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Well, look, a lot of people are just, I know many people who offered more money than they could ever even imagine. So, they could not take it.
Yeah.
But there were also a lot of people I know firsthand who did it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they were sold a bag of shit. And because of that, that hurt.
Or they just lost complete control of their company because that's what you did. You signed it over to somebody.
Yeah. Well, over time. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it happen, experienced it.
Lived it.
And they had a different way of wanting to do business. They wanted to be those companies that go in high pressure, high profit margins, and really just if those companies are in your house for more than a day, they see it as a complete loss. So that's why they do the 1 day bathrooms. That's why look, buy 4 windows, get 1 free. That's absolute bullshit. There's no such thing as buy 4 windows, get 1 free. You know what that means? That means that no crew, subcontractor, wants to go and do less than 5 windows. And they're going to charge you for 5 windows whether you like it or not. So they're including the labor in there, right?
My husband tells me all the time, nothing is free in life.
50% off labor. Like 50% off labor. How could you suddenly be 50% off labor?
Eric,
those companies want to do that.
You just struck a nerve on that one for me because there's a company out there that's a high pressure seller that we've chosen to part ways doing work for. And his model is that 10% of his ticket is all that covers his labor. That means he sells a $20,000 job and $2,000 of it goes to his labor. Quite frankly, your labor is your bigger ticket if you're doing it the right way. Or you're just bashing people over the head with numbers and the ethics there. But people don't care. People are just like, I'm going to make my money and I'm going to move on. And we're here to stay.
Yeah. I look, back to the private equity, people with the private equity, that's what they wanted to do. That's why we were out. And they ultimately fell apart because it didn't work with the businesses that they purchased. Some of the businesses that they purchased, very successful, profitable, well run, not dependent on the owner, right? All the key points, but they weren't that business, and that's the business that they want to be in. And most of the companies that you see out there that are soliciting, that's what they're doing. Back to the 50% off labor. I mean, honestly, at one point in time, this is where I go to my other side. I have to look at people and be like, "Are you serious? Like, you really believe that? Like, you really think you're getting a free window? Like, are we being real? Like, we being honest with ourselves? Like, what's the gimmick?"
The funny thing is, I could totally picture you just saying that to a homeowner.
No, but like I do, and I mean, but that's real. Like, look, if we can't be real, like, you may not like what you hear, but at least it's the truth, right? 100%. You got to call balls and strikes. It's black or it's white.
Listen, if you sold how many roofs in your days?
I sold a lot.
Okay.
You know that.
How many times have you come up against somebody that said unlimited plywood? How do you have unlimited plywood? There's one of two things. You either grossly overcharge that, or you're not replacing the wood and it needs to be replaced. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so many gimmicks that people just do not realize, and it's infuriating.
Yeah, what are you saving from that? Like, what are you actually saving from? You're
being sold something, but you got to remember, we're in this industry. We're both more or less born and raised in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's ingrained in us.
Yeah.
As a homeowner, like I go to a doctor. I don't know what's involved. If they tell me I need surgery, I don't know what's involved. I don't know what they have to do to prep it. I don't know what medicine they need. I don't know who's going to be in there. They put you to sleep. I don't know if there's one person in there or 12 people in there.
This is great.
I don't know the operation.
This is great. You know what? I love it because I always lead with people and I say, look, one thing about me, I live here, I work here, I have a family here, I have kids, I have a reputation, I have a legacy I'd like to leave behind, right? When I wake up in the morning, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you, right? I'm a consumer, I have cars, I have a home, I go on vacations, right? I do things. The people that are in your home got to take a look and say, well, what's their home like? Let me give you an example. Would you go to a dentist that was missing teeth?
No.
I mean, would you, I actually someone just told me the other day, I thought this was hysterical. So he had some surgery and he said, oh, I just left the drip. He went and got a drip or whatever. So he goes and gets the strip. And I was like, oh, it works. You like that? He's like, yeah, it's great. It's whatever. It's $400 a session. I feel much better. And I'm like, oh, how did you find out about it? It's like, well, I actually found out during COVID. This doctor was anti, vaccine and yada yada yada. And he was telling me, great guy. Although he's not there anymore, he recently had a heart attack. I'm like, whoa, wait, what? He goes, yeah, it's pretty funny. Like, you probably wouldn't want to go to a place where the guy had a heart attack. I said, definitely not. I definitely would not want to go to a doctor who had a heart attack, right? So I wouldn't want to buy from a guy who I wouldn't be comfortable in the house with my wife alone.
Yep.
Or where I see that he's disheveled.
Yep.
Because his level of expectations is going to be very different than mine.
Yep.
Right? So, look, we can go in a vicious circle.
If you have one thing you want to leave with homeowners right now, what would it be?
If I had one thing that I would leave with homeowners is, I would say if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. I would say that focus on buying people. Focus on people. Focus on people. Focus on not reviews. Focus on going out to job sites, live job sites.
Yeah.
Go to focus on seeing the product that you're going to purchase live in the field, right? Take the time. We talked about people's taking 10 years to save enough money. What's another day or two? Just invest some time into going and seeing what's out there. Talk to the people, go to their office, see what they're about, meet them, spend some time. Because at the end of the day, the people you do business with, you're going to be married to them. And, take an experience, talk to them about an experience of someone that had an issue and how it was handled.
That's why I tell
At the
people
end
with
of
the
the day,
review.
it's not
Go
gonna
look at
be-
the negative reviews and see how they were handled.
Right. It's not going to be if something happens. It's going to be when.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time and being here and all of your wisdom and insights that you always give me. So thank you for that. And
appreciate it.
we'll keep this going.
The respect is mutual.
Appreciate it. Until next time, bud.